I'd like to introduce the club. John McCurdy, he's Director of Community Development with the City of Rogers. Does a lot of work throughout the city, but he's also specifically tasked with working on all the improvements we have going on downtown. And he's probably loving life every day, talking to everybody about updates. So invited him to come talk to us about that. Also, Anna Watson's here, and she's the Arts and Culture Coordinator with the City of Rogers. And I'm working with her on a couple of projects with the alleyway activation, which is if you don't know about that, it's a kind of a cool deal that we're going through with the city. So, or on the design side right now. And I've asked them to come give us some updates. So take it away, Don and Anna.
Thanks, Rick. And Dana and Rick, I hope you don't mind. I invited Lance Job to jump in also. He's the City of Rogers engineer, just in case.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that I work on some of the improvements in downtown. That's one of the nicest compliments I've gotten lately. The use of the word improvements. We're, as you know, we're going through the construction phase, and not everybody sees it all as positive right now, but hopefully we're getting to the point where there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and folks can start to see how this is all coming together. Rusty Turner, I haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. I think it was maybe the last one of that thing they do where they roast everybody at the APT every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to getting back to that kind of stuff. I mean, I really miss it. Some of the, the things that we do as a community to get together, and activities at the APT, the Victory Theater, and I mean, just going to Hogs games or high school basketball games and things like that. We're all living on Zoom right now. And gosh, I don't know, this is probably my 5th or 6th Zoom today. And it's just how the city's doing business. I know that a lot of y'all are kind of stuck in Zoom purgatory as well. And we're all looking forward to getting back together. So some of the things that we're doing in downtown, it's I guess it's been kind of a silver lining to this, is that we've had an opportunity to make a big mess downtown at a time when it is disruptive, but not as disruptive as it could have been if it were busier down there. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but at least we're investing in the future. And as the sign on the side of the Railyard Park says, that we're looking forward to getting back together soon once these projects get completed. I will say, if you haven't noticed, and hopefully a lot of you have, the Railyard Bike Park was completed, I don't know what, maybe a month or so ago, month and a half ago. And it has been successful beyond our hopes, hugely successful. That park was open, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30% of the time before we rebuilt it, because it was all dirt and mud and got rutted and everything else. And we made at the time, it seemed like an incredibly difficult decision to pave it, to basically make the whole thing asphalt and some kind of a soft rubberized material in some of the landings. And it was a hard decision because, I mean, the very nature of that facility was that it was a dirt track. And people I wasn't sure, I don't think anybody was really sure how folks would react to it being paved. The idea of jumping, doing a backflip on a bicycle on pavement seemed kind of scary. But we consulted with a lot of people that do this a lot and get paid for it. And the consensus was that it could actually be safer if it were paved and certainly open more of the time. And I mean, we were hoping that it would be open like 75% of the time. And I mean, you see people out there right now in the rain riding on it. So unless it's covered with ice, people are getting out there and using that facility, and the parking lot's packed. And, the other day I was out there and just kind of taking a survey of license plates, and there's people from Oregon and Wisconsin and just all over the country. And if you follow some of the mountain bike forums on Facebook and other places, it is spreading that people are from around the country are starting to think about coming to Northwest Arkansas for their summer vacations with their families. And that's really what this is all about. And we want to keep building on that. So I think if you can imagine a future where we've got that bike park, but we also have the Railyard Park is open with our stage, and we're working to program that stage during the summer months so that there's live music playing on Fridays and Saturday nights. The Chamber of Commerce will be working with us to continue to put on festivals and to do great things in downtown, like the farmers market and other things, and looking to partner with other folks to bring even more exciting festival type programming to downtown. That it's really kind of exciting to think about a warm evening where you may have tourists who are coming to downtown Rogers to listen to music and to ride in our mountain bike parks and to spend money on hamburgers and beer and furniture and antiques and artwork and other things while they're here. And so I'm excited about the vibrancy that this can bring to our downtown area. As we know, in order to compete with online retailers and big box stores, downtowns have to provide an exciting experience. And so everything that we've done is designed around just revamping our downtown area so that, it just feels better, that cars are going maybe a little bit slower. It feels a little bit less like there's a highway running through the middle of it. We haven't done anything that reduces any of our road capacity in downtown Rogers. It may be hard to believe, but for example, on Walnut Street, on the east and west edges at like 8th Street and 3rd, it narrowed down to 2 travel lanes on both ends of that street. So we're just maintaining 2 travel lanes and adding a lot of parking along each side of Walnut and other areas of downtown. So we've dramatically increased the number of parking spaces throughout downtown Rogers to support current and future businesses that will hopefully be coming and locating in downtown residents. And we're improving our sidewalks and illumination at night and doing all of this without reducing any actual capacity of the roadways. So I think that was a great job done by our city engineers and some of the consultants that we've worked with. One thing that's kind of new, and I know that these are just kind of updates to conversations that I've had with I think most of y'all in the past. The timelines are all looking good on all these things. The downtown, the Frisco Park project, which expands, into the rail yard, that project is still on schedule to be complete by around the end of February or so. I'm definitely hoping by the end of March that we'll have the park open. That coincides nicely with the outdoor music season in Northwest Arkansas, which basically goes from the middle of April to the middle of October. Arkansas is going to be a huge pain for a long time. We will continue to rebuild Arkansas Street. And that the initial phases of that project will be done in about a year to year and a half. And then we'll continue to press the Arkansas Street project to the north and to the northwest, eventually aligning with Easy Street and out towards Beckert and Sam's Club and making the connection to the new Walmart headquarters, basically at the 8th Street overpass. Of course, that's by design. To create an easy and reliable, predictable path from downtown Rogers to the Walmart headquarters, to attract the vendor community and everybody else associated with Walmart, so that downtown Rogers is a viable alternative to other locations in Northwest Arkansas for vendor office spaces and whatnot. So making downtown Rogers easier to get to from downtown Bentonville and the new Walmart headquarters, which I think is important that we continue to partner closely and coordinate with the city of Bentonville to make that connection with that town as seamless as it can be. The other new thing that has really kind of taken off since the last time I spoke to Rotary is bringing Anna Watson on board. And I don't see her right now, but I know that she's here on the Zoom. She's the arts and culture coordinator for the city of Rogers. We stood under my department of community development. We've got planning and engineering, and we added arts and culture to that group. She is right now busy working on programming for the stage. And actually right now, about most of her concern is making sure that we have the right audio video equipment ready when we open up the stage. But then starting to initiate a programming contract to get a vendor who can provide contract with musicians and acts to be able to get that live music that we want on Fridays and Saturday evenings for about 6 months out of the year reliably in downtown Rogers, so that we've always got music going on downtown to support our local businesses and draw people in. In addition to that, Anna's working on an arts and culture master plan that would look to figure out what does Rogers need and want and can pay for, and how do we pay for it in terms of more arts and culture programming, and then who are all the key players in that area. And then finally, we accepted a design excellence grant from the Walton Family Foundation a while back to redesign the alleyways between 2nd and 3rd Street from, and I never get this right, Anna, but between Cherry
First and 2nd, Cherry to Maple. Yeah.
There you go, Cherry to Maple. So, which is about a 5-block run of alleyway, which is kind of a mess in terms of the water and sewer infrastructure. So we knew that we needed to do something along the alleyway anyway to get in and tear it up and rebuild it. And so while we do that, our intent is to put in new water and new sewer and work on other utilities and clean up the alleyway. But then also look to rebuild it much better than it currently is. So that we're looking at, well, we don't know what we're looking at because we've got an architect that's working on it, but I suspect that we're looking at some kind of a nice surface like pervious pavers and things like that. And then putting in good lighting, maybe something to make it warm at night in the winter and stuff like that, but artwork and all this. So Rick McLeod's working very closely with us on that project. He's part of a steering committee along with folks from the chamber. And then help me here, we've got chairs we've got a city council member leading the effort, Mandy Brashear. And then we've got representation from the Historic Commission, the Art Commission, Parks and Rec. Who am I missing, Anna?
Chamber
of Commerce.
Chamber. There's Karen and Giovanni from the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I think that about rounds it out.
Yeah.
So the idea here was to get the leaders of the key committees and commissions and other organizations that are deeply involved in downtown Rogers to make sure that everybody that represents a stakeholder group is represented in the steering committee. And that steering committee is truly a steering committee. The city staff is there to support their efforts by holding and hosting meetings and taking notes, and then we'll be the ones trying to figure out how to make everything work legally and how to pay for stuff. But that committee is driving this boat, and kind of the concept of operations here is that each individual block of alleyway would stand on its own as a discrete project, where we would partner with the property owners and the businesses along that block to do things that make the most sense for those businesses. But at the same time, our architect, which is WXY, one of the top architect firms in the country, they would ensure that the whole thing kind of makes sense, that it's coherent and it doesn't look like a, kind of a self-help project gone awry by the time we're all done. If you've seen these alleyway activation projects in other cities, it can be really exciting in a way to activate that alleyway at night as a place where people walk. One of the things we know we have to deal with is the stank. And so we're looking at garbage solutions like consolidating garbage into a regional compactor type system. Already we've had a couple of conversations with our firm and they're starting to come up with some, I think, pretty innovative ideas for dealing with garbage. So that's kind of at the top level, what's happening in community development. Anna, did you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to turn on my video, but this works great too. No, John did a great job of everything that we've got going on. There's so much going on downtown, and I'm really excited to see how it kind of transforms it. I'm really, really excited that we're able to take on these projects that allow us to focus on the people and get in some infrastructure improvements as well. But that's really the bulk of it. And I will just go ahead and drop my contact in the chat. So if you've ever got questions or comments, I'd love to reach out, or I'd love to hear from you.
So usually my experience with Rotary groups is that it's useful for me to update everybody on what's going on with the city, and to try to kind of cast the vision of how all this is thought about, and our intent to why we're doing these things, and where did we come up with these ideas. As I think you know, there was a Downtown Rogers strategic plan written a number of years ago, and we have been executing that plan ever since. And all of these projects were foreseen in that master plan, which was initiated with the Chamber of Commerce with the sole purpose of ensuring that Downtown Rogers remains economically viable, that we increase the resilience of our area by diversifying our economic base, and just ensuring that we eventually get more humans living in the downtown area, more businesses located in the downtown area, so that the shops can continue to compete with other, things like Amazon.com. And so that's what's happening. There will continue to be disruptions over the next several years, but I do think that it's really starting to come together. I know Sunday morning, I went and grabbed a cup of coffee at Onyx and parked right next to the Railyard Park, and just started, just really imagining what it's going to look like. And if you look at the plaza area, the Frisco Plaza area, kind of from the south, you can begin to see they've got pervious pavers down, and they've graded most of that plaza area now with gravel, so you can really get an idea of the scale of it, and where the trail is going to be, and where the trees will be, and the lighting. Some of those curved white poles that you see are the first couple of about 8 or so shade structures that will have benches underneath them. So there'll be shady sails that will be going to cover up benches. And if you can imagine, from the south side, you'll be looking down through this sort of a tunnel of these sails with trees flanking either side, and then picnic tables down the center. And it's just, it's really just starting to look super cool, I think. And, the water towers have been painted. You can start to see what the splash park is going to look like. And you can imagine grass being planted around, some of the concrete and that rubber material that we have over in the playground, and get a sense of what it's going to be like when we do the landscaping and everything else, and the lighting at night. And it's just going to be an incredibly beautiful and special place. So that's what's going on. And now I would just like to entertain any questions that you guys have. I know we always get a lot of parking and transportation congestion questions. And so Lance is here, so I can blame all that on him.
Hey, John, I think one burning question we all have as Downtown Rogers Rotarians is, it looks like it's going to be ready to go for us to have our big barbecue competition in September, right? So we're going to be good to go. We can have beer and barbecue and just have a heck of a good time.
Yes, I think so. And I don't know where you plan to do it, but the Frisco Plaza is designed for this kind of thing. That
Right.
big wooden circle,
Right.
is intended to be kind of multi-use space that you could put barbecue pits out on that, or you can put it out underneath the big awning at the stage, depending on the timing. We can coordinate with you if this is going to happen on a weekend, and we can work with you on who the music's going to be that weekend to support your event. So yes, I think so. And certainly by September. I mean, I hate to commit to dates because I'm always wrong. But our experience so far on this project has been very positive. We've kept it on schedule, and it's moving right along. So I think we'll be good.
Well, I agree. It is a great improvement, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
John, speaking of improvements, are there branding opportunities that we need to consider as a club?
So can you clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, if we had some money, is there something that we could say down there that's brought to the community by the Rogers Downtown Rotary Club?
Probably. I know that, for example, like many of you, I was pretty close to Dick Barkley, and they set up a fund and worked with Parks and Rec to carve out some memorial opportunities for him. The other thing that's coming online because of Anna Watson's work is that we're establishing the ability for folks to donate money into some entity, probably some kind of an arts foundation, to support things like that. So when the alleyway gets built, think of the alleyway as sort of the structure of a museum, if you will, where there will be mural opportunities and maybe sculptural opportunities or whatever. I mean, whatever they come up with. But it's intended to create this kind of outdoor cafe space at night with things over you and all that stuff. And then the other thing is when we're looking at music on the stage, our budget for each evening is enough to cover, a typical local regional band that you might see playing at George's Majestic Lounge or something like that. So if you wanted to sponsor an upgrade to an evening of music in conjunction with your barbecue event, you could do that. If you want to bring in, Black Sabbath, let's say, and get them to come play, or whatever. I was thinking Rick just went to Sturgis. Maybe it could be, I don't know, Molly Hatchet. I don't even know who. But so, I think there will be opportunities to sponsor upgrades, if you will, to the music for a weekend or for an evening, and to do some things like that.
Do you have a sponsor for the alleyway program itself?
No, we don't. And we will be looking for sponsors. And that's where this kind of block by block thing, we'll be looking for sponsors to help partner with us on the entire project, but then also individual blocks. I mean, let's say that the architect firm comes up with the idea that they want to put catenary lights, over the alleyway between Poplar and Walnut or something like that. And it's some kind of special lighting. Well, anything like that that's above and beyond what would normally be paid for just out of regular tax money, we'd be looking for margin of excellence sponsors to be able to upgrade things like that. Hopefully, hopefully it would end up being like a 3 or 4-way partnership where the city would kick in a little bit of skin, and the Walton Family Foundation would have some money, and then another sponsor or a vendor or the merchant adjacent to that part of the alley would participate, that kind of thing. Good question. We're also doing. We're working on a design right now to rebuild Centennial Park. And that's being designed with CEI Engineering's architecture group, and it's just it's gonna be a neat little park. But imagine just 2 rows of trees, one side on either side of the park with some eating space, some picnic table type stuff, and then we're trying to figure out a way to put in some of those torches that warm you up at night, like patio torches. To open that up at this type of, in the colder months of the year for outdoor eating. So imagine going into Parkside and grabbing a burger and a beer and then walking into the Centennial Park and having your burger and a beer, assuming that we can, get an entertainment district approved through the city council as we start to open up the park. Does everybody know what an entertainment district is?
I think it's a great time to talk about it.
Okay.
Just in case.
So last year, the state legislature passed a state law that allows cities to designate geographic areas and to regulate them so that you can basically drink in public. There's a state law that prohibits public consumption of alcohol, so you can't drink in public. So this allows you to create public spaces where you can drink alcohol. And so a bunch of cities all over Arkansas have done this, and it's not as scary as it sounds. It doesn't create Bourbon Street, what it does do and what it's intended to do is under controlled mechanisms that you'd be able to buy a beer and a burger at Parkside and then go out and eat them outside. Typically, cities will require you to have one drink, one and only drink, that you can't bring anything into it, that it has to be an official cup that you can only get at the participating, restaurants within the district. And it's very clearly defined geographically. So you can't just go wandering all over town, with like a case over your shoulder and something like that. And so that's what it would likely look like. We'd probably designate a recyclable cup and compostable cup, and it would have a logo or something like that. You go in, you get carded, you get a band, and then you're okay to go outside and walk around the park. That's about as much as we've thought about it. It would almost certainly not include like the playground area of the park. It would probably just be the Frisco Plaza area and maybe over by the stage. And then, within what we all think of as downtown Rogers, just the merchant area over by the APT and, whatever the boundaries would be. But it would allow you to, on a nice warm summer evening with music playing in the background, to have a beer in your hand when you're enjoying downtown Rogers. So
I think that would be a direct compliment to what we're looking at with our barbecue event. So
yeah. It would simplify things. I don't, you get into, if y'all were selling alcohol or something like that, that gets into special ABC licenses. But I like the idea of these events pushing people into our restaurants and bars, versus competing with them. And so to the extent that we can be complementary with our downtown businesses, I think that's our objective.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Hey, John,
Yes,
could you go into a little bit more detail about the stage area and the weekend music, live music strategy? That's really intriguing to me. So
we're about to actually tomorrow night we'll have have something in front of the Rogers City Council to get permission to select Crown Enterprises to be under contract to provide programming, and it would be kind of a turnkey thing. Our concept here is that every Friday and Saturday evening from about mid-April to about mid-October, so about 50 incidents of this, we would offer live music from the stage. I don't know when, sort of just thinking this through. I'm thinking like 6 to 8, 7 to 9, something like that, so that it's not 1 o'clock in the morning or even 11 o'clock at night. So just kicking off the evening kind of a thing. And I think it should be every single Friday and Saturday night during that time, that you shouldn't have to go consult a city calendar to find out if it's happening, because it's just always happening. So the city would be paying for this. We have the budget for it. We think that it's important to ticket this, even if it's free, just so that we are always issuing a ticket. And that does some things for us. And it also gives us the capability to charge occasionally also. So, I saw, Raymond will make fun of me for this, but I saw Lyle Lovett a few years ago in Eureka Springs at the auditorium, and it was just fantastic. I mean, he gave one of the best shows I've ever been to. And it's just a very quiet, intimate kind of a thing. He's telling stories, he's playing music. We can't afford Lyle Lovett for the kind of money that we're going to be charging. So from time to time, we'd like to bump that up. And is also looking at ensuring through this contract that it's not just Lyle Lovett. I mean, we want to broaden our scope. We want to hit a broad demographic. We may have Tejano music. We might have, I don't know, electronic dance music from time to time, whatever it might be. But to really look at the demographic of, the young professionals that we're trying to attract to downtown Rogers, and to retain the kind of talent that Northwest Arkansas needs to make downtown Rogers an exciting people for those folks to live.
Lawrence Welk
he's probably going to be the first evening to kick it off. So we really want to start out right.
Excellent.
A 1 and a 2. Pretty sure he's not available.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but we want to have. it's not, we always want to do stuff that's going to have a broad appeal. I don't want anything, you know, it's probably not going to be death metal. And so we always want to have something that you can come to downtown Rogers with your family and you're not going to cringe. But at the same time, I do think it's a good idea to try to make sure that we're appealing to a broad demographic. You know, when Brian and I have talked about this, and with Anna, I've said, you know, kind of take a look at who's going to George's, who's hanging out at Onyx, who do you see going to Roots Festival and some of the other major music events in this area, and make sure that we're bringing those folks in.
Brian Crown definitely has the contacts, so you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's just, and I don't know how you would go out and select this in a kind of a competitive way. But he's got the Rolodex, and I think that we'll benefit a lot from the fact that he's programming the AMP. He's doing a lot of work, you know, for some of the things going on in Bentonville, and then of course George's and it reaches out to Tulsa and Kansas City and regional. So we've worked closely with him on the design of the stage and our AV equipment. I told him, if I've got a pretty decent setup here in my living room, if I'm going to go out and weather the storm, I at least want it to sound really good. And so we should have a very high quality sound system, a good lighting package. And our goal is to put on a good high quality show in downtown Rogers. And then that stage is also available for the Rogers High School, the orchestras, the Arts Academy. If we're doing Frisco Fest, then we'll support Frisco Fest to make sure that we've got the right acts headlining Frisco Fest out of this contract. So I think it's going to be a great thing. And I don't know that the city has ever invested in arts and in culture in this way before. So it's pretty neat. Any complaints about road striping? Come on, man. No.
You mean the striping is already washed away?
Oh, I know that. And that was the first thing I talked to Lance about. And we are a little concerned about the quality of some of that paint. We'll work that. There are some, you know, we're gonna identify some issues as we go along. Some of what we're doing is we're painting. There's things called bulb outs, you know, where you have like a planter that sticks out in the road and establishes a curb, and there's a tree and that kind of stuff. We're doing some things like that with paint to get it on the ground and to establish some of the parking patterns and things like that. We can adjust some of those things. Somebody was expressing concern about the easternmost parking place on the north side of Walnut, right in front of Arvest, that if you pull out of that, you're right next to the intersection, you're going to get nailed. Well, maybe so. You know, and so as we look at these things, we'll go back, and if we need to make some tweaks, we can make some tweaks. Right now, it's just paint before we go in and start putting in hardscape infrastructure, curb and gutter, and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, you can Google map any city, Tulsa, anywhere, Little Rock, and you'll see that parking place in any major city. So we're following all the best guidance from the best consultants in the country. In fact, the guy, you know, you probably heard this, but the guy that did the overall conceptual plan is the guy for transforming downtowns throughout the country by slowing cars down, making them more pedestrian friendly. And at least, you know, from my perspective, I think you can already start to feel that in certain areas of downtown, where suddenly it feels like some of those buildings are now part of downtown. They're not so much out on the highway at the edge of downtown. We've kind of expanded the, you know, that feel that you get when you're on a sidewalk in a downtown area. So, but yeah, there will be some tweaks, but there is no reduction in capacity. The problem that people that are concerned about parking in downtown tend to be concerned about that parking place right in front of my business that's now full all the time. Well, that's a good thing. You know, that comes with success. As we start getting more and more people downtown, there's going to be more and more people parking in parking places, and it may be right in front of your business. So there's nothing that we can do about that. I can't make more of that particular parking place. Does that make sense? Usually it's, damn it, that's my parking place, and it's always full now. So, but that's kind of a measure of success.
Anybody else have any other questions for John or the team?
I didn't let Lance talk at all.
I almost didn't recognize my buddy Lance.
He's got that big goat going, man. He's gonna, I don't know. I almost didn't recognize Rick McLeod.
I'll tell you, there were a couple times I didn't. Yeah. For
I
sure.
was freaking out my grandkids for Christmas.
I bet.
They all. All right. Well, in
All right,
that
y'all.
case,
Well, I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. I don't know where you're going to be headed after. Where's your brick and mortar location now?
you've been meeting at Hoppa's.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll be able to get back there in a month or two and then figure it out from there.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to when you get back to Hoppa's. Maybe we can do an update when we've got some more progress and we can see what's going on.
For sure. You can do a little walking tour for us.
Yep. And I always appreciate the feedback I get at the end of these things that doesn't always come as freely during a Zoom meeting. But as Anna posted her contact information in chat, you know where to reach me, and I'm always willing to meet with you anytime, anywhere, and if you've got concerns, and to listen to your feedback.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, John. Thanks, Anna, for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Sure. What our club does for our speakers is we like to give a book with your name inscribed on it to the Northwest Arkansas Children's Shelter for their library. So we'll have those books go out there in the next few months. We really appreciate your time and efforts in explaining things to us, which is good.
Thank you.
Because now we can all go and explain it to our networks of friends.
And I enjoyed during my talk, I enjoyed the new Ozark Session IPA, which is an outstanding beer from Ozark, and I recommend it to anyone. So thank you very much.
It was very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That concludes our last meeting, I guess. So if you would, please join me in reciting the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it true?
True.
Is
Is
it
it fair to all concerned?
Will it
Will it build goodwill and
better
friendships?
Will it be beneficial?
Beneficial
to all?
Beneficial to all concerned.
All
Will
right.
it be fun?
Thanks, everybody.
Good seeing you, everybody.
Bye.